Hey everybody, and welcome to Kurt's Angle. This is the first episode of Brit Wres Isn't Dead, and today I'm going to be talking about Cara Noir, I'm going to be talking about Martin Kirby, and I'm going to be talking about the Support Wrestling Screw Coronavirus show happening Monday the 16th. Screw coronavirus. But yeah, with Brit Wres Isn't Dead, all I wanted to do is highlight all the positive stuff going on in the UK scene, or if there's somebody, for example in this instance, Martin Kirby with the news that's just broken, where they deserve to be spoken about in such high regard, and kind of remember the stuff that they've contributed for the British wrestling scene. And yeah, you hear it a lot of Brit Wres is dead because of NXT UK with WWE signing a lot of the top talent in the UK, and a lot of people thinking that's it. Hopefully through these series I'm going to be proving that isn't the case. There's so much good wrestling happening around the UK scene, whether that's say the north of England with North Wrestling, you've got NGW, Wrestleverse, BWR, Tidal, TNT, and plenty more. I can't really go through it all, but then you keep going further down south and we may have like WAW, you've got Progress, Rev Pro, you've got Eve, and even way down south you've got the likes of Chaos, you've got Reach as well. And of course if you're looking to like Wales, Scotland, Ireland, it's full of great wrestling companies such as OTT, you've got Attack, and you've got ICW and plenty more. So it's just about highlighting what I've been watching in Brit Wrestling, all the good stuff that's been going on, and to prove that British wrestling isn't dead, and there's so many talent coming through that are absolutely incredible. We've got so much talent that's going abroad, showcasing how great the British wrestling scene is, whether that's in Mexico, America, or Japan. And yeah, so Brit Wres isn't dead, and one person that is proving that there is life after all the intake from WWE is Cara Noir. Cara Noir was somebody in in the Ringsiders Awards that we did over at Ringsiders podcast with Jamie and Callum. We let the fans vote who they thought was Independent Wrestler of the Year, who has the best entrance. And regarding the best entrance, like Cara Noir came second out of everybody in professional wrestling. The Fiend had won. Cara Noir came second for that, which is absolutely incredible and deservingly so. Like, his entrance is absolutely breathtaking. First time I saw him live was WrestleGate Pro against Bad Bones John Klinger, and great entrance, and the match itself blew me away. Absolutely brilliant. And recently I've seen him in the Natural Progression series in Progress, and then moving on with Still Chasing, where he had that match with Pete Dunne, and at the end Pete Dunne even said like it's in good hands because of people like Cara Noir coming through. And recently he was at Wrestleverse, and yeah, he'd won. Well, he came second with the Entrance of the Year, and he came second for Independent Wrestler of the Year. He came second to David Starr, and let's face it, in 2019 David Starr seemed to be the epitome of the definition of an independent wrestler. Excuse me. So with that being said, with Cara Noir, I said that 2020 is going to be at the top of everybody's list. Like, it's going to be his breakout moment, and I thought that might have been that maybe the end of 2020, and that wasn't the case. Like, unfortunately, Eddie Dennis got an injury at the NXT UK York tapings, and that led him to having to relinquish the Progress World Title, and they did a 4-pack match, which was who was it? Paul Robinson, Kyle Fletcher, and Ilya Dragunov. So they had that match at Chapter 101 for the Progress World Championship, and Cara Noir did it. Beginning of the year, in a new setting for Progress, like the era after Jim Smallman, the beginning of like the Chapter 100s, and Cara Noir became the Progress World Champion to be the person spearheading the company in 2020. And it was like, oh shit, like this is happening. Like, is the Attack champion, is the Progress champion. And only a couple of weekends ago, he made more history where he won the WXW 16 Karat Gold Tournament 2020, having an unbelievable run, having unbelievable matches. one being with Jeff Cobb, and then winning in the final as well against Speedball Mike Bailey. And yeah, Cara Noir, what a year he's having so far. Progress champion, attack champion, now WXW 16 karat gold winner. And I think with especially every major company in the UK will be looking at Cara Noir, the ones in Europe as well. And I can only imagine it's going to be a matter of time before the likes of WWE, AEW, New Japan, or even other companies start looking at Cara Noir to try and bring them onto their roster. Selfishly, I'm hoping that it won't be just yet, because I think he will be one of the lead guys in the UK. He gets better every time I see. Like, wrestling is an art form, and Cara Noir expresses that fantastically with everything about him, the presentation and the delivery. Brilliant. Like, with Wrestleverse, it was probably like 50-50 of the fans that watch everywhere, or the fans that don't really watch much wrestling and just see what's in their local area. And before the night was done, with his main event match against Robbie X, known as Tiny in Wrestleverse. Like, Wrestleverse, you'll probably hear me speak about quite a lot on this show. Like, they're a very peculiar company, shall we say. It's absolutely bonkers. Such a good time at Wrestleverse, where a lot of wrestlers will play different characters that you don't see anywhere else, and it's such good fun. And yeah, in the main event of their second ever show, he was against Robbie X, who was playing the persona of Tiny. And before the end of, at the end of the night, everybody it was standing room only, but everyone stood, applauding Cara Noir, chanting, "Please come back." And again, that's not all these hardcore wrestling fans. A lot of the fans, they may have only been to NGW in the whole area, and then they was just instantly, like, I know a few fans that the only independent shows they've been to is NGW, or they may have done NXT UK. So it's first time seeing Cara Noir, and at work all they were speaking about is Cara Noir. That's how good he is. So yeah, I'm hoping he sticks around a lot more, and just keep an eye out for if he's at one of your shows and you may not have been to that show for a while, or maybe never. If you see Cara Noir on your show, buy a ticket. You won't be disappointed. So, with that being said, like, we've just highlighted one that's breaking through. He's going to be a future of British wrestling. It's today, with the shock of everybody, like, as I'm recording this Sunday, like, to the shock of everybody, Martin Kirby has announced his retirement. Which, not gonna lie, it sucks. Kirby was one of the people that got me into professional wrestling from the beginning, especially British wrestling. I'd not really seen much of it, and when I started looking around, it was him that was captivating me more. And then whenever I seen that he'd be on a show, I'd maybe buy their DVDs, or eventually when I started travelling around, I started going to shows that Martin Kirby was on, because he was one of my favourite wrestlers, not just in British wrestling, just one of my favourite wrestlers. And I think that's just, again, a testament of how good he is. And I think the outpour from, like, his, not only fans, but the peers, on about saying, like, they're gutted to see him going and stuff like that, like, it's justified because of how good Martin really is. And yeah, so Martin put out a tweet, so for those of you looking on YouTube, you'll be able to read it, but for those that listening audio, Martin said the following: "I first began wrestling 14 years ago, and in that time, I've surpassed any expectations I ever had. The opportunities I've been fortunate to have received allowed me to wrestle in every major city, main event shows, meet and wrestle childhood heroes, have a WWE tryout, and even complete 2 tours in Japan with Dragon Gate. However, the time has now come to hang up my pink and black trunks for the final time. I'm proud of all the friends I've made, things I've accomplished, and fans I've entertained over the years. Thank you." With a love heart emoji. Like, that sucks. Like, I wish Kirby the best. Like, life after wrestling, it's difficult for a lot of people. I hope whatever he does find peace in it. I know whatever he does, he'll be fine. He really will be fine. And it does just it does suck. Like everything he did for British wrestling he's what would be like is a legend. He's a legend, and he was a big part of this boom in British wrestling, I believe. Like if you look back at his resume with, like when I said I first started enjoying his work and started watching British wrestling, and excuse me, the first shows that I started looking at away from my local company NGW was PCW, Preston City Wrestling, and Southside, so SWE, and that was mainly because of Kirby. I saw his Ego Dragon character, which I was like, wow. Like when I first got into it, and I started watching different shows back. I can see the glare. I'm taking these off, but yeah, when I started watching things back and stuff like that, I loved the Ego Dragon character who was doing maybe back into 2011 to about 2013. With that one, like his feud in Southside with El Ligero as the Ego Dragon, where nobody knew who he was. Like 9 times out of 10, he was still wrestling that same night as Martin Kirby as well. Started off with a singles match. They had a street fight, and there was a no ropes match, which was absolutely brutal. Mask v mask, and that's where it was shown. It's Martin Kirby, and I was like, wow, holy shit! Like I love that match. And then I think in 2013 they'd have had the I Quit in the Cage match as like Martin Kirby versus El Ligero, and yeah, to me, that was part of building Southside Wrestling, and part of the reason why I started checking out Southside was because of the matches them two were putting on and the story they were telling. And I think it's safe to say, like, he was the measuring stick in British wrestling, and the companies he worked for treated him like that as well. Like, whenever anybody came across from America, Japan, or Mexico, Martin Kirby would be the person they'd put him with, or even in the UK, like against other guys, he was going to have one of the matches of the night, if not the match of the night, every single time. And with Southside Wrestling, like over the years, not only did he have those matches with El Ligero when he was feuding, but his matches with any of his matches with the Speed King, Scrambled stuff, like he was fantastic with that. But he had matches against the likes of Fit Finlay and Jay Lethal. His matches with Travis, Chris Travis, that is the Hurricane, Marty Jannetty. He got to wrestle Marty Jannetty, and I think that'll be one of like the heroes he mentioned. And he wrestled the Addiction with Travis, and I believe it had been with Travis and Cedric Alexander as well. And it was even the same with PCW, like Preston City Wrestling. They always knew he'd get the fantastic matches, and I think a couple of his matches where he was in a tag with Project Lucha with El Ligero, where he got to face the Young Bucks or Red Dragon, now known as the Undisputed Era's Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly. And again, singles matches against Shelton Benjamin or Brian Kendrick, Jushin Thunder Liger, like anybody that came across, he was the guy. Like I remember on one of these shows with Tommaso Ciampa coming across whilst he was the Ring of Honor television champion, Kirby challenged for that title. And during the relationship PCW had with Ring of Honor, you got some great matches on the PCW Ring of Honor Super shows, and you had him against Lance Storm, you've had him against Cedric Alexander, and I think there was a six-way where it was Cedric, ACH, Bobby Fish, Noam Dar, and I think the other one would have been Strong. Yes, Alexander, ACH, Noam Dar, Bobby Fish, Roderick Strong, and Martin Kirby. And again, just absolutely fantastic, showing that it's like he belongs there. And he ended up teaming with Joey Hayes for quite a while and having some great matches against Team Single for the PCW Tag Team Championships. Again, wrestled Red Dragon in this tag team. He wrestled against War Machine as well, which is the Viking Raiders, I think. Yeah, Santon and Rowe. And so many more, like the Wolves or the Kingdom as well. If there was somebody coming in Martin Kirby was that guy. And I always remember I was at part of the crew for NGW's show in North Allerton, and I was stood behind the bleachers away from the fans with Marty Scurll. And Marty had wrestled Nathan Cruz earlier in that night, and we were just stood like in awe with how good Martin Kirby was in his match against Paul London. And for that full match, Scurll came out from behind the crowd, well, behind the curtain. He stood beside the crouch near the bleachers and was just watching that match in awe with how good it was. And that is Martin Kirby. It really is. I'm glad he got the opportunity to be on World of Sport, and it's safe to say he was Mr. WCPW. Like, there's no disputing that. The way he built up for that the infamous Zoidberg elbow, always missing it. He'd miss it every single time until he managed to capture the WCPW championship from it. Like, everybody loved Martin Kirby. And in WCPW, that was a company that was bringing in a lot of the imports, Cody Rhodes, Bullet Club, Matt Hardy. But Kirby was the guy that they all chanted for. Kirby was the guy that they always cheered for. So, on that note, like, he mentioned Dragon Gate, he'd done 2 tours. I hope it's going to be one of those Terry Funk retirements where he's going to come straight back out and start wrestling elsewhere and get that itch again. But if he doesn't, just thank you, Martin Kirby, for everything you've done for British wrestling. You were one of the things where I was just dipping my toes in as a fan, and I became invested in it. Whenever I met you at a show, or whether I was part of the crew on a show that you was on, you was always such a gent, so kind-hearted, and I just wish you nothing but the best in what you're doing for life after wrestling. Whew. Now that's out of the way, Brit Wres Isn't Dead. That's what this is called. And we had Battle of Brit Wres scheduled tomorrow, and due to the coronavirus, it being postponed. And there's some great matches on that was built for that, and I will most definitely be checking it out close to the time again. But Will Ospreay, he got in touch with Wrestle Talk and was like, "Hey, look, like, we need to do something. These guys are losing out on money. The fans are losing out on wrestling. You've got a venue. Let's do something fun." And it's going to be No Fans Monday, and the show is Support Wrestling, Screw Coronavirus. And it's going to be, so Will and Wrestle Talk, they've worked together to put this Wrestle Talk showcase on, and they've got some amazing talent that, whether it's the wrestlers, the ring crew, the referees, the camera crew, everybody's working for free right now. Like, they're not getting paid because they ain't got any fans that are going to be able to come due to the epidemic that's happening. So they're going to put a show live on YouTube for us all. And I believe it's going to be 7 p.m. GMT time. I can just double check that. But yeah, it's going to be 7 p.m. GMT live on YouTube. And what they'll be doing is, with the ad revenue or the donations that the fans that are going to be watching for free, may I add. So if you can spare anything, I know it's a difficult time with some people. If you're having time off work because of what's going on, some people may not have those spare funds. But if you were planning on going to any shows and they've been cancelled and you hadn't quite bought your ticket, or you have got any spare money, like, these people break their bodies for us week in, week out to make sure we can enjoy this crazy world of professional wrestling. And they rely on this. A lot of them, this is their full-time job. So if they're not working, they can't pay the bills, they can't pay the rent or the mortgages, and it can become quite a crisis with it. And I imagine with how British wrestling is, we've seen with OTT, because of the restrictions Ireland have put in place, they had to cancel Scrapomania, and they've been raising so much money so they can still pay everything without it affecting their business massively financially. So yeah, if you can, obviously donate. You can buy merchandise as well, so there is going to be a Support Wrestling Screw Coronavirus t-shirt which you can get, where all the profits from that share will go towards the talent that are going to be wrestling on that night. And it's a fantastic match. Will said himself he wanted to make it so it's like a dream match, like dream card, of course, of sorts. Sorry. You're going to have the team of Lucas Steele and Nathan Cruz. They are currently in a stable in BWR, second to none. Cruz has been the person that's helped train Steele and like really close, and these two as a team are going to be absolutely devastating. Really excited to see this as they face Robbie X and Kid Lycos 2. For those of you that don't know, Kid Lycos 2 is Joe Nelson. So what a match this will be like. The aggressors in Cruz and Steele against Robbie X and Joe Nelson, who are two fantastic wrestlers, especially in the fast-paced, high-flying range as well, which is going to bring two fantastic styles. So yeah, Nathan Cruz, Lucas Steele against the team of Robbie X and Kid Lycos 2. We're going to have the O.J.M.O against Paul Robinson. And again, Paul Robinson's somebody who maybe didn't get the credit he deserves for his technical ability and like his wrestling ability. I think a lot of people was amazed in his match at Super Strong Style this past year at Progress. Absolutely fantastic performance, showing that he's not just an hard bastard that does wrestling. He is a fantastic professional wrestler, and he's against the O.J.M.O, who's one of the futures of this business. Well, I don't even say future. He's the present. He's the cruiserweight champion in Rev Pro. I remember watching him against Shingo Takagi in Manchester for Rev Pro's Ungovernable show, which was absolutely fantastic. And that match will be surprising a lot of people, just how good Paul Robinson really is. And I think with a lot of these people, like Brit Wres Isn't Dead. You want to know who the best independent professional wrestlers are in the UK, they'll be on this show. Not all of them, but the majority of these are going to be proof that Brit Wres isn't dead and is life after all the signings to NXT UK. You can enjoy NXT UK, but there's still all these companies that you can go watch on a regular basis with fantastic talent. And one of those which will be about like upcoming guys as well. We've got a Scramble of Doom, which is going to include MALIK, Paul Sayers, Adam MAXTED, Chuck CYRUS, and Carlos ROMO. Scrambles are always fun, and with the amount of talent that's in this, I think it's such a good opportunity, especially with it being free live on YouTube. It's such good exposure for a lot of these guys, just to show like how good they really are. And I'm hoping the impact this match has, or this show has, helps all of their careers moving forward. And yeah, what Wrestle Talk and Will Ospreay and all of these are doing for free is absolutely amazing. It really is. So then we've got Connor Mills. He's going to be taking on the Aussie Arrow Carl Fletcher. Now, this is going to be a great match. Like, Carl Fletcher is absolutely fantastic. Connor Mills has been doing some great singles work as of late as well, and he's one that's getting booked more and more places as a singles competitor. So I think this match is one where people may be like, match of the night maybe. I think Connor Mills is going to surprise everybody, and Carl Fletcher, like, it's his year as a singles because of the unfortunate injury to Mark Davis, his Aussie Open teammate. I think now's time for Carl Fletcher to become one of the main guys in singles competitors until Mark's back, until Dunkzilla is back wrestling again. So, we're going to have Giselle Shaw versus ALEAH James versus Mercedes Blaze. Giselle Shaw is absolutely fantastic. Since coming to the UK, she's just been improving, getting better every single time. I've seen her live, and she's, well, the women's champion in Rev Pro, and she's getting booked in a lot of high-profile matches for a lot of companies around the UK now, which is great to see. And ALEAH James and Mercedes Blaze, they're two of the up-and-coming wrestlers. I don't want to say up-and-coming, but they've been doing fantastic stuff already as well. And I think it's going to be a great way to introduce them to it's probably going to be a global stage. So I think these ladies are going to go out there and absolutely smash it. And yeah, put on an absolutely fantastic match, which I can't wait to see. We're going to have Mr. Independent himself, David Starr, is going to be on the show, and he's going to be facing the protege of Will Ospreay, CALLUM NEWMAN, who last year, when he was at the age of 16, signed the first ever Wrestle Talk scholarship so that he could rely on their knowledge, their contacts, and they wanted to make sure that professional wrestling is something he can continue to do, and professional wrestling is everything he's doing. And CALLUM NEWMAN, he's absolutely fantastic. And against David Starr, it's going to be one of the matches of the night again. I feel like I'm repeating myself because this card just really is that good. It really is that good. And to top it off, we've got Will Ospreay, who rarely wrestles in the UK anymore due to his commitments in New Japan. And what he was doing just massive on his body. So fair play to him for restricting where he's working. He's doing stuff at Rev Pro as their champion, of course. And yeah, Will Ospreay wanted to face somebody he's not faced before, and it's a match that I'm really looking forward to. I can't imagine what they're going to pull out the bag for this, but he's going to be facing AEW's B. Priestley. He's going to be facing his missus, B. Priestley, at Support Wrestling Screw Coronavirus. No Fans Monday, like, what a match this will be. Like I said, I can't even imagine some of the stuff they've probably got in mind for this match, and I'm really excited to see this. And yeah, so that's Support Wrestling Screw Coronavirus. Like, from Cara Noir to all these people on this show, Brit Wres really isn't dead. And Martin Kirby, I wish you the absolute best in what you do with your life going forward. I hope it won't be the last time we see you in a wrestling ring, but if it is, thank you for everything you've contributed towards it. And yeah, for those of you watching, those of you listening, make sure you check out Support Wrestling Screw Coronavirus Monday the 16th live on YouTube in a Wrestle Talk showcase. For those of you in America, it's going to be 3 p.m. Eastern and 12 p.m. Pacific. What a match. Again, what a show. Again, Lucas Steele, Nathan Cruz versus Robbie X and Kid Lycos. The O.J.M.O. versus Paul Robinson. The Scramble of Doom, MALIK, Paul Sayers, Adam MAXTED, Chuck CYRUS, Carlos ROMO. Kyle Fletcher versus Connor Mills. The triple threat between Giselle Shaw, ALEAH James and Mercedes Blaze. You've got David Starr versus CALLUM NEWMAN, and you have Will Ospreay versus B. Priestley. Now, this has been Kurt's Angle. I'm Kurt Johansson. You can find me at Kurt Johansson93. You can find the podcast at Kurt's Angle Pod, and you can head over to at Ringsiders Pod to see the work that I do with Jamie and Callum and some of the stuff they've been doing. They've had a fantastic interview with Zicky Dice from NWA. They recently interviewed Joe Galley as well, so make sure you check that out. And yeah, make sure you stay tuned to Kurt's Angle. We've got coming up in the next couple of weeks, well, I've got coming up in the next couple of weeks, my From the Ground Up series, which is going to be a series highlighting life of a trainee, like the transition from trainee to wrestler. So I'm going to be speaking to some wrestlers from the Reach Academy. I've got ALEAH Taylor as the first episode. ALEAH Taylor's had a fantastic breakout year for herself. Part of the Reach Academy in the southwest of England. We talk about her career so far, the sacrifices she's had to make to become a professional wrestler, her goals, and all the tips of to become a professional wrestler if you're thinking about it. And then sticking with Reach as well, the second episode is the legendary hotshot Carl Parker, who I believe is an absolute star, only 20 years of age, and what he'll be doing in 1, 2, 3, 4 years' time. He's going to be one of the stars of British wrestling, in my opinion. He looks the part, he talks the part, and he can go in the ring. And yeah, so coming up, stay tuned at Kurt's Angle Pod, From the Ground Up with ALEAH Taylor, and From the Ground Up with the legendary hotshot Carl Parker. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Bye for now.